G'day, I'm Bill Powell, potter and glass artist. In this, the first of a series of pro tips for potters videos, I'll be showing how to make a simple one-piece plaster mould using the potter's wheel. Here is a selection of moulds that I've previously made using this same technique. Today we'll be moulding this bowl, a simple form in raw clay. I'll be using standard pottery plaster for this task. I'm now going to make the surrounding section that will hold the plaster to cast the piece we're looking at. You can use any clay for this, just make sure you use enough, make it strong enough. It can be any clay, the cheaper the better. What I'm going to do is open it up. I don't need a bottom in it, but I do need an L-shaped section to sit the bowl into. So you can go straight down to the back, pull it out, you can see there's no bottom in the piece. Now I have a measurement for the diameter of the bowl, so I'm aiming to create a section to sit that into. So I'll pull it out, then I'll form a small section of base to sit the bowl onto. About 6 to 8 mil thickness is good. We need some thickness so we can cut it off. You can see there's no bottom in the pot. Now I'm going to form the outer walls which will contain the plaster. Making sure you've got enough clay to create the height. You need to go above the piece to be cast by about 30 to 40 mil. Generally, the plaster mould should have 40 to 50 mil all round, roughly, or close to 2 inches. I know I need to go roughly the height of this, so I'm looking to get slightly higher. Start off with just a vertical wall to start with, so that you can put your bowl into it. We're getting close. I'm happy with that. You keep it vertical so you can fit the bowl in, and then we'll bring it in and we'll shape it around the existing master that's on the inside. That way you save on plaster and weight. Now we take our bowl that we're going to cast. It was thrown yesterday and is now leather hard. It doesn't have to be dry. It just has to be stiff enough so that when you pick it up you don't alter the shape. And we place it into the middle. Just place it, don't press it down too hard until you get it in center. Once the outer wall is shaped to the desired contour, you can then go ahead and stiffen up the outside wall. You can use a heat gun, or my preferred method is using a flame torch. You'll notice that I've taken the tray off because the trays on Brent's are plastic and they don't like flame. Once the outer is stiffened up enough, and you can tell when it doesn't flex, it's nice and firm, you are then ready for the plaster. Having prepared our mould, we're now ready to mix our plaster. What you'll need is a good set of scales to mix the plaster in. The plaster ratio is 1.4 kilos to every 1 litre of water. You'll need a couple of buckets, one to mix the plaster in, and one to have full of water to wash your hands when you need to quickly. You also need your plaster and a container to pour off the excess that you may have that you mix up. It's always best to mix more than you need. You don't want to run out halfway up the mould, halfway up the pour. So any excess can go into this container and then you can wash your buckets out. Plaster is the enemy of clay, so it's always best to keep it clean and wash down as soon as you use your items. Working out your volume for your mould is difficult at times, being two curves. But I've prepared 2.5 litres of water for this job, which means I'll be adding 3.5 kilos of plaster. I'll be mixing it with my hand to feel that it's all mixed, and you get about 15 minutes while it's fluid before it starts to set up and go solid. So you do have to act quickly. It's important before you pour your mould to put a small pinhole in the top of the master to allow the air pressure to escape. I also like to have the wheel slightly turning as I pour. This allows the plaster to go into the space evenly. It's now been 10 minutes since I poured the mould, and I can begin to smooth the bottom of the mould using a rubber kidney. It's now been half an hour since the plaster was mixed, and the mould is firm enough to be cut away from the clay. So you take a knife, gently cut down the side. You can feel the plaster on the inside. I then spin the mould and cut through to the plaster. The liquid from the plaster rehydrates the mould enough to allow you to peel it away. I then use a skewer form this is a Mud Tools skewer form, to trim the edges. While the plaster is still slightly soft. I'll then take a cutting wire and release the mould from the back. We can then take the rehydrated clay away from the mould. And peel away the inner to reveal the finished mould. This generally comes away quite easy. It also has been rehydrated. That clay has no plaster on and can be recycled. So there you have it, finished mould, one piece plaster mould, done on the wheel. So, I hope that video was useful to you. I'll be putting out a series of small videos, pro tips for potters with Bill Powell, covering such topics as glass slumping, crystalline glazes, wheel throwing, glazing, all sorts. So feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, and stay tuned for more pro tips for potters with Bill Powell. Cheers.